ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ इत्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। Page 396 in Brahma Sutra. उपसंहार दर्शनात् नैति चेत् न क्षीरबद्धे। So here किं यत् असहायं तन्न कारणं, the logic that the Purvapakshi supplies is Brahma na upadanam asahayatvat kevala mrudvat. Brahman cannot be the upadana karanam, cannot be the material cause, asahayatvat, because it is no help at all, there is no factor other than Brahman. Kevala mrudvat, just as merely clay cannot be the material cause of pot without the help of a pot maker. Similarly, Brahman cannot be the material cause of the universe because it doesn't have any support. Brahma jagatah na nimittam asahayatvat kevala kumbhakaravaditi. Further, Brahman cannot be even the nimitta karanam, cannot be efficient cause because it doesn't have help, like merely pot maker cannot be the efficient cause of the pot without the help of clay. So mere clay cannot be the material cause without the help of a pot maker, and mere pot maker cannot be the efficient cause without the help of the clay. So asahayam brahma yat asahayam tanna karanam. This is the logic that the Purva Pakshi provides. That which is without any help cannot be the cause, either the material cause or the efficient cause. In this, we have to find exception. Kshiravadhi Naisha dosha svasair Ihe illoke kulaladaya ghatapatadinam kartarah. In our day-to-day experience, we find a pot maker and such other ones like a weaver. Ghatapatadinam kartarah, the creators of pot, cloth, etc. Mruddanda, chakra sutradi, aneka karakopasamaharena. They require many accessories, like a pot maker requires clay, requires a stick, requires a string, requires a wheel. Thus, the pot maker equips himself with many accessories, and then alone he is able to see, is discovered fine by performing his task of creating a pot. संगृहीत साधनाः सन्तः तत्तत् कार्यं कुर्वाणाः दृश्यन्ते. संगृहीत साधनाः सन्तः, being possessed of many accessories, then they are seen to be able to accomplish the task of creating such entities as pot, etc. Brahmacha asahayam tav abhipretam. You say Brahman is one without a second, and therefore tasya sadhanantara anupasangраhe sati katham srashtutvam upapadyeta. So without the acquiring of another sadhanam or means, how can Brahman without any help create the universe? Tasmat na Brahma jagat karanamidi ched. Therefore Brahman asahayam, Brahman cannot be jagat karanam, cause of the creation, either material cause or the efficient cause. To this rule you have to find exception, that's all. Naisha dosha kshiravata. The Sutrakar says kshiravata, like milk. Dravya svabhava visheshat upapadyate. There can be a material like milk which can undergo transformation into curd without the help of any external factor, because it is nature of the milk to undergo transformation. Yatha hi loke kshiram jalam va swayameva dadihima bhavena parinamate. Just as in the daily experience, the milk or the water, without the help of any external factor, is seen to get transformed into curd or rice, etc. Anapeksha bahyam sadhanam, without the need of any external accessories. Tatha ihapi bhavishyati. So an exception to his rule has been found. Then there are some questions about really whether milk undergoes transformation without any help or not. Looks like milk also requires some help to undergo transformation. Nanu kshiradi api dadhyadi bhavena parinamana apekshadeva bahyam sadhanam aushnyadikam. And milk also requires an external aid such as heat, such as the curdling agent, then alone we find that the milk gets transformed into curd. Katham uchyate kshiravadhi. How kshira, how milk can become an example to cite as an exception to a rule that something undergoes transformation without the help of the external aid. Naishadosha swamipi kshiram yam cha yavatim cha parinamatram anubhavati tavati eva. What is the extent? What will be the nature of transformation and extent of transformation that milk undergoes? That is there. Tvaryate tu aushnyadina. By warming the milk or by adding the curdling agent, you are accelerating that process of transformation, not imparting the process of transformation. Yadi cha swayam dadi bhavashilata nasyad. If that potential of getting transformed into curd was not there in the milk, naiva aushnyadinapi balat dadi bhavam apadyeta. Then even if you warm up milk or water, for example, it won't get turned into curd, however how much you heat. So you cannot force a sudden transformation which is not inherent in that substance. Nahi vayurakasho va aushnadina balat dadibhavam apadyate. Bhashyakara says, neither air nor space, even by heating, they cannot be forced into getting transformed into curd. Then what does this do? Shaktasya sahaya sampada kim karyam. If already milk has the potential of transforming into curd, then why are you warming the milk? Why do you add a curdling agent? Sadhana samagraya cha tasya purnata sampadyate. By the external aid, what you are doing is you are imparting the capacity is accelerated, enhanced. You enhance the inherent capacity. That's all you can do. Not impart the capacity, enhance the capacity. Alright, please tell us then what is required to enhance the capacity of Brahman so that Brahman can get transformed in this Jagat. Paripurna Shaktikam tu Brahma. But Brahman is totally self-sufficient and possessed of all the powers that are required. Nutasya anyena kenachit purnata sampadayitavya. Nothing else can impart completeness to Brahman because Brahman is complete in its own. Shrutischa bhavati. And Shruti also says how Brahman does not require any help. It has all the capacities within itself. Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. It does not have body, it does not have sense organs, meaning Brahman does not require a body, even sense organs also, to accomplish its purpose. Natat samascha bhyatikascha dushyate. There is nothing equal to, let alone better. How can anything better than Brahman when there is nothing equal to? Parasa Shakti Vividaiva Shruyate. Its supreme power is thought to be of various kinds. Swabhaviki Jnana Balakriya cha. The Jnana Kriya and Balakriya, its power of knowledge and power of action is Swabhaviki, is inherent, Swabhaviki. Just as the capacity of the transformation is inherent in milk, so also this capacity, the power and the knowledge, this capacity is inherent in Brahman. Tasmad ekasyapi brahmana vichitra shakti yogat kshiradivat vichitra parinama upapadyate. Therefore, ekasyapi brahmana, even the Brahman is asahayam, without any help. Vichitra Shakti Yoga, on account of association with variegated power. As Shvetaswatar said, power to know, power to act, power to will. Kshiradivat vichitra parinama upapadyate. Therefore, like milk undergoes variety of transformation, so does Brahman can. So this was the logic. Yat asahayam tanna karanam iti. And kshiravat, kshir or milk is the exception to that. So now continuing with page 397. Nanu says Ratnaprabha, Brahma na karanam chetanatve sati asahayatvat. So now one Visheshana is added. Brahma na karanam asahayatvat. This was the earlier line of reasoning. Now the Purva Paksha shows certain modification. Chetanatve sati asahayatvat. Brahman is not only without help, but Brahman is conscious entity. So therefore, asahayatvat is the hetu. The reason why Brahman cannot be Jagat Karanam. In that hetu, one Visheshana or one adjective or qualification is added. What is it? Chetanatve sati. Because Brahman is Chetanam also, and therefore the example of milk is not appropriate for Brahman. Mrudadi shunya kulaladivatiti. Like not just kulaladivat, mrudadi shunya kulaladivat. Like a pot maker without clay or any other help, he can also chetanatve sati. Pot maker is a conscious being, and without any help, and pot maker cannot create a pot. So therefore, so Purva Pakshi thinks that now by adding one Visheshana to the hetu, that now the early argument is dismissed, that milk no more falls in that category of Chetanatve sati. Iti na kshirado vivicharaiti. Therefore, kshirado, milk, water, etc. cannot be the examples to illustrate Brahman because they are inert, whereas Brahman is conscious. Iti sutra vyavartyam shankam aha. Sutraka replies this doubt. Next sutra is to refute this position. So what position does the sutra refute? What doubt does the sutra resolve? The doubt must be presented first, and it must be shown how the sutra resolves that doubt. Syade tadi. Or if you look at Nyaya Nirnaya, same thing. Chetanatve sati asahayatvad visheshanat. Chetanatve sati asahaya. So asahayatvad, you add one visheshanam qualification, chetanatve sati. Uktam anaikandikatvam parihartum shakyam. Therefore, the exception that you showed can be now resolved when we add this qualification. So Purva Pakshi says, iti ashankya. That's a shanka. And sutra is the answer to that. So, let us see the next sutra. Devadivat api loke. Says loke. Loka means not in the day-to-day world. Loke mantrarthavad itihasadav. In the Rig Veda mantras there are many stories. Arthvada, also statements of praise or censure. What they call corroborative statements. Itihasa, anecdotes. In Rig Veda you have all of this. Devadivat. So now another example is given. Devadivat. Yatha devaha pitarah rushayah devadi. Yatha devaha pitarah rushayah itivam adayah chetanaha. So the conscious beings, devatas, pitrus, and rishis like Vishwamitra. Chetanaha bahyam sadhanam anapekshya. You find that devatas are able to create, rishis are able to create, pitrus are able to create, bahyam sadhanam anapekshya, without the need or requirement of any external, accessory or external aid. How do they create? Sankalpa matraneva, merely by will. Nanavida karyakartara upalabhyante. So we find that devatas and others create without any external aid, merely by their willpower. Tadvat, like that, Brahma bhi asahayam eva jagat upadanam kartrucha. Similarly, Brahma also can be both the material as well as efficient cause of the creation without any external aid. So first of all, Sutra Vyavartyam Shankamaha. Bhashyakara first states the Shanka, the doubt that the Sutra resolves. Syadetaditi. Syadetate upapadyate kshiradina acetanana anapekshyapi bahyam sadhanam dadhyadibhavah drishtatvat. Syadetata. This also can be a position. Somebody can come up with a doubt like this. Upapadyate kshiradinam acetananam. Remember, kshirabadhi, that kshira or the milk is acetanam, is inert. Therefore, anapekshabi bahyam sadhanam, an inert thing may not require an external aid to undergo transformation. Dadhyadibhavaha upapadyate. Therefore, that milk can transform into curd is tenable, logical. Why? Drishtatvat. Because this is what we find. Now you can't refute. Nai drishte anupannam nama. When you see things happening, you cannot disprove them by logic. So, the Sutrakara gave an example of milk, which is a common experience, which you cannot refute. So, all right, we accept that milk is all right. But milk is not an apt illustration for a Brahman. Why? Vishishtena hetuna brahmana jagadhetutvam nishedum drishtantamaha. How Brahman cannot be the cause of creation, how to dismiss that position? Vishishtena hetuna. The hetu asahayatvat is qualified now by the Purva Pakshi. Chetanaha. So Bhashyakara says, Chetanaha punaha kulaladayah sadhana samagrim apekshya eva tasmai karyaya pravartamana drishyante katham brahma chetanam sat asahayam pravarteta iti. Chetana punha kulaladaya. So kshiradinam, so acetananam. It's all right. But chetanaha punha Kulalada. Whereas a pot maker and such other entity like a weaver, they are Chetanaha, conscious entities. Sadhana samagrim apeksheva tasya karyaya pravartamanaha drishyante. But we find that these conscious beings, such as a pot maker, such as a weaver, are able to accomplish their task only with the help of external aid. So they are able to perform those respective tasks with the help of the required aids or accessories. Katham Brahma Chetanam Sat. So Brahman is not only asahayam, not only without the aid, Chetanam, it is conscious also. So inert things without the help can undergo transformation like milk. But conscious beings like the pot makers are not seen to create anything without the help of external aid. And Brahman is conscious being. So how can Brahman undergo transformation or create universe without the help, without any help? विशिष्टस्यापि हेतोः अनैकान्तिकत्वं तदवस्थमिति परिहरति. So Siddhanti says, even if you qualify your hetu asahayatvat with chetanatve sati, then also the exception is found. Then also is not an invariable rule. The invariability is still not there. So we have, that is how this answer in Devadivadati. So Vashyagana says, Devadivate iti brumaha. We say it is like Devatas and others. Tatra drishtantam vyachaste devadivat is the drishtanta, like, Devad is not Matu Pratyaya or anything, Devadivat, it is the comparison. So like Devatas and others. That example is explained by Bhashyakara Yathayati. Yatha loke devaha pitaraha ऋषयः इत्येवमादयः महाप्रभावाः चेतनाः अपि सन्तः अनपेक्ष एव किञ्चित् बाह्यं साधनम् ऐश्वर्यविशेषयोगात् अभिध्यानमात्रेण स्वतः एव बहूनि नानासंस्थानानि शरीराणि प्रासादादीनि च रथादीनि च निर्मिमाणाः उपलभ्यन्ते मंत्रार्थवाद इतिहास पुराण प्रामाण्यात्. यथा हि लोके. What is loke from the sutra? So says Ratnaprabha, लोक्यते ज्ञायते अर्थः अनेन इति लोकः. Here loke does not mean in our day-to-day experience. But lokyate jnayate artha anayate lokaha. So karana vyutpatti, that by which a thing is known is called lokaha here. What is it? Mantrarthavadadi shastram. Shabda pramanam. So shastra is also the pramanam by which you come to know things. Mantra, there are mantras in the Rig Veda which tell us many stories, anecdotes. Arthavada, and so there are many statements of Bhuta Arthavada, Arthavada of the praise which is based on facts, itihasa, anecdotes, Purana, and so mythological stories. So Devadivat api loke api, that api shabdat vyuddha vyavaharascha. And Vriddha Vyavahar, that's what the elders also say. People who have seen this, we haven't seen it. We haven't experienced it. But there are those who have. And so their statements also are there. So going to Bhashya, Yatha Loke. Loke means not in the day-to-day life. Loke means in the Shastra. Devaha pitaraha rushaha. The Devatas are described as creating things. Rishis like Vishwamitra are also described as creating heaven for Trishanku. Pitaraha, the Pitrus of the mains. Ittiva Mahadev Mahaprabhavaha. Asmadadibhya Devadishu Vishesham Darshayati. What's the difference between the Devatas and ourselves? How come we cannot create and they are able to create? How come? Mahaprabhavaha, possessed of great powers. Prabhavaha. Teshamapi Ishvaranugrah Sapekshvatvat Asiddham Asahayatvam. But they also require Ishvara's grace, and therefore you cannot say that they are able to do those things without any external help. So says, so Mahaprabha Chetana api santa anapeksheva. They are conscious beings like a pot maker, like a weaver. So Devatas etc. are also conscious beings, and even then anapeksheva kinchit bhakyam sadhanam. They are themselves very powerful beings, and therefore they do not require any external aid for creating what they did create. Aishwarya Vishesha Yoga. So says Anandagiri, Tathapi Shukra Shonita Samnipatasya Mruddarvadinam cha bhave kuto dehadinam prasadadinam cha nirmanam. See, to create a body, you require the union of Shukra and Shonita, the blood and semen, or Mruddarvadinam. To create a palace, you require clay and wood, etc., timber, etc. Without them, how did they create? Because, so they say, Aishwarya Vishesha Yoga. What is Aishwarya? Asmadadishu Asambhavemanam Aishwarya Vishesha. So we are also possessed of some power. Not that we are not possessed of the powers. We can also do things. We also have strength. We also intellect. But no. Asmadadishu Asambhavyamanam Aishwarya. What is Aishwarya Vishesha? They are possessed of special powers, which are not there in people like us. So that kind of power they possess. Tadvashena yoga. Yoga with what? Tat karya ghatana samarthyam. That special power imparts them the ability to carry out very unusual tasks. So, Aishwarya Vishesha Yoga. Tat karyochida samagri sampattau hetvantaramaha. Another hetu also is there. Not only they have special powers and abilities, they have something else also. What is abhidhyana matrena? Abhijnanam sankalpaha sankalpa matrena. They are very powerful willpower. So they possess special powers in the Rupadi, plus they also possess the willpower. Swatah eva, meaning without anybody's help. Swatah eva. Bahuni nana samsthanani sharirani. They will create many bodies with variety of limbs. Nana samsthanani sharirani. Bodies with variety of limbs they can create. Prasadadini cha, and things like the palaces, etc. Rathadini cha, and things like chariots, etc. Nirmimanaha upalabhyante. We find, where do we find? Mantrarthavad itihasa purana pramanyat. All of them are pramanam now. Mantra is a pramanam, arthavada, itihasa, anecdotes, what Vedas describe, Puranas describe. Thus we find in the itihasa, anecdotes, in Puranas, mythological literature, in the mantra of the Rig Veda and others, arthavadas, we find description as to how devatas, rishis, pitaraha, pitras were able to create without external aid things such as other bodies, palaces, chariots, even heaven. And they are also conscious beings like Kulala, like a pot maker. So again an exception. So even though they are conscious beings, chetanetve sati asahayatvat, even though they are chetana, and tathapi asahayatvad, even though they were without any help, they were able to create. Therefore, in your next reasoning also, devatas are exceptions. That's what it is. Loke naivam upalambha asti. We don't see this. This is therefore said mantrarthavad itihasa purana pramanyat. Yastu devadishu mantradi pramanya vipradipadyate. Some says we don't accept this as pramana. The devatas are who knows? Who has seen them? And mantra and all of these also, they are just, hearsay. Who knows? Where is the evidence that what the Vedas say, what the Puranas say, what the Itihas say are right? They may be just figment of imagination, the writers. Like Bhagavatam will say that there were 1 crore gopas, for example, and things like that. Lord Krishna will go. And so this is all, you can't accept this kind of thing, And so you have to give us examples that are believable. So Devadi is there. Of course that included Pitaraha Rushaya, but here also Tam Prati Laukikani Udaharanani Darshayate. To these doubting people, Laukikani Udaharanani, the day-to-day examples are also given. So Vashyakara says, Tantunabhascha iti. Tantunabhascha swatah eva tantun srijati balakacha antarenaiva shukram garbham dhatte padmini cha anapeksha kinchida prasthana sadhanam sarontarat sarontaram prade sarontaram pratisthate. What are other examples? Tantunabha, Laurnanabhi, Yathurnanabha, Tantunabha, like a spider. Swata eva tantun srijati. See, spider is able to create the threads without help of anybody. and then make the web. Then balaka, crane, another example. Balaka shukram antarena eva garbham dhatte. You see that a crane, so becomes pregnant without the need of the shukra, without the need of the semen from a male crane. A female crane can become pregnant without mating with a male crane. This is what they say. So see how the female crane is able to bear a womb without the external help of a male crane. Padmini cha, a stalk of a lotus, Padmini. Anapeksha kinchit prasthana sadhanam, a lotus, stalk of a lotus moves from one lake to the other without any vehicle. Prasthana sadhanam, anapeksha, without the need of any vehicle. Sarontarat, sarontaram pratisthate, goes from lake to lake. Doesn't have any help. So, Dashtantikam, evamiti. So, Vashyakara says, evam chetanam api brahma anapekshya bahyam sadhanam swatah eva jagat srakshate. Evam, similarly, chetanam api brahma. So even though Brahma is conscious, so there are all other day-to-day examples. Anapeksha bahyam sadhanam, without the need of an external accessory or aid. Swataheva, on its own, jagat srakshati, would create the universe. Why not? When a spider can create a web without any external aid, when a female crane can bear the womb, or when a stalk of a lotus can move from lake to lake, and all these conscious beings can do this, why not Brahman? To this, say Ratnavandhano, Ratnavava says, Devadi Urnabhant Dushtanteshu Sharireshu Chetanatvam Nasti. Devaha Pitaraha Rushayaha Urnanabha Tantunabha. In all these examples, they all possess body. Devatas also possess body. So do the Rishis, so do the Pitrus, so does a spider possess a body. And body is achetanam. You see, the example is chetanam. But here there is not purely chetanam, they also have an achetanam element. So devatas and others are not purely conscious beings, they have bodies which are unconscious. How about Balaka? How about a crane? And how about a star, Padmini? So Balaka, Padmini, Chetanayoho, Garbha Prasthana Kartrutve, Megha Shabda. It is said that a crane bears a womb without mating with another crane, but by simply the roar of the clouds. Megha Shabda, by roar of the cloud, it bears a womb. That's what, they must have found out somehow. How did they find out? What kind of research they must have done to discover this fact that a crane becomes pregnant by listening to the roar of the clouds? Shariram cha, and crane also has a body. Sahayasti. Similarly, even a stalk of lotus also has a body. So in case of crane, Megha Shabda. In case of stalk of lotus, Shariram, it has a body. Ataha Vishishta Hetoho na vyabhichāraheti. Therefore, chetanatve sati, they are not purely chetana. A chetana element also is there with which they can create. Therefore, your examples are not apt examples. Iti shankate sayadi bruyadityadina. So Bhashyakara presents this doubt on the part of Purvapaksha. Says, sayadi bruyad ya ete devadaya brahmana dushtanta upattaha te दाष्टान्तिकेन ब्रह्मणा न समाना bhavanti. Say the Purva Pakshi would come up with this kind of a question. Ete devadayo brahmano dushtantah upattaha. Brahmana 6 is for Brahman. So for Brahman in dushtanta, the illustrations devadaya upattaha, which are presented as example for Brahman, devadaya. So devatas and others, Udanabi, etc., which are presented as the illustration for explaining or justifying Brahman being able to create. What is the exception to a rule? Chetanatve sadi asahayatvat. So you given these examples. So in case of Brahman, te dharshtantikena brahmana na samanaha. They are not quite similar to Brahman. So these examples that you have provided are not quite or in all ways similar to Brahman. Therefore, they cannot be considered apt examples. See, in every case, the example itself is questioned. Earlier, milk was the example that was questioned. Now, Devadita example that also is questioned. Bhashyakara continues, Sharirameva hi acetanam devadinam sharirantarade vibhutyutpadane upadanam natu chetana atman. In devatas or in pitrus or in rishis, which one creates? Sharirameva hi acetanam. Devatas also possess the body, so do the pitrus, so do the rishis, and the body is also inert, is unconscious. It is that body which becomes the means by which they create. Devadinam sharirantaradi vibhuti upadane. For this unusual creation of a body or a palace or a chariot, it is a body which is really the means and not natu chetana atma. It is not the conscious self of the devatas, etc., that creates. It is their body with acetanam through which this creation takes place. So this is devatas, and then urnavadustan tulyam vyabhichara nivaranam. But how about the urnanava? How about the spider? So in there also the exception stands. Says Bhashyakara, tantunavasya cha kshudratarjantu bhakshanat lala kathinatam apadyamana tantur bhavate. The spider also does not do everything by itself. Spider also is a help. Kshudratarjantu bhakshanat. Spider also consumes small insects, and those insects that turn into their saliva. That saliva becomes solidified into a thread, and that's how the web is created. So don't say that even Urnanava or a spider is an apt example. it also has an external aid. बलाका दृष्टान्ते च असहायत्वाभावात् विशिष्ट हेतु न व्यभिचारः अस्ति. So balak also, it is not that a crane is able to bear a womb without mating, that also does require an external help. So next sentence, balaka cha स्तनयित्नो रवश्रवणाद गर्भम धत्ते. Stanayitno means a cloud. Ra means a roar. So even a female crane also, it bears a womb by hearing the roar of the cloud. Padmini dushtante api urnab dushtantavad vyabhichara samadhi. An example of the stalk of the lotus Padmini also, there also it is not purely a conscious being. Says Vashyakara, Padmini cha chetana prayukta sati achetane naiva sharirena sarontarat sarontaram upasarpate वल्ली इव वृक्षं न तो स्वयं अचेतना सरोन्तरोपसर्पणे व्याप्रियते. Padmini cha chetana prayukta sati. In Padmini also, in lotus also, there is of course the consciousness. Sentience is there, achetanaineva sharirena. But then it is by the body which is unconscious or inert that a lotus stalk also sarora sarontarat sarontaram upasarpati. From a lake to lake it moves because it is a body which is propelled by the consciousness inside. Valliva vruksham. Another example is Valli, like a creeper. So creeper also goes over a tree on its own. But the creeper also has a body and also has a consciousness. That consciousness propels that body to climb up. It is not there. Inert element is not there. Nadu swayam achetana sarantaropasarpane vyapriyate. Merely a lotus stalk, totally unconscious. It is conscious and unconscious. Be able to move from one lake to the other lake. Vichara parihara phalapurokta anumanopattimaha. Therefore the purvokta anumanam chetanatve sadi asahayatvat, so upattim, that still stands. The Purva Pakshi says tasmadeti tasmat naete brahmano drushtantaha ite. Therefore this cannot serve as illustrations for Brahman, because Brahman is only conscious being. These are all conscious and unconscious, and therefore, so only conscious being requires sahaya. Unconscious thing does not require sahaya. So, and all the example that is quoted has the unconscious element in them. Says Nyayan, Devadi Dehasya Apanna Chaitanyasya देहादि कारणात्वात् न व्यभिचार समाधि इति समादत्ते. Even the devadi deha, that body also becomes conscious, because the body also is a sentient entity, is not an insentient entity. A stone doesn't create. The body of a devata creates because the body also has gained sentiency because of the consciousness that devata is. So, Apanna Chaitanyasya Dehadi Karanatvat. Then alone they become the cause for creating other bodies, palaces, etc. No Vivicharas. Therefore, the exception remains, our objection remains intact. Tam prati, Bhashyakara says, Tam prati bruyat nayam dosha. So Vivichara Asti Pariharati. Vivichara still is that exception. Ayam dosha dushtanda vaishamyakya dosha tam prati nayam dosha. That person should be replied, this dosha. That what is the dosha? The dushtanda vaishamyam. That dushtanda illustrations are not apt. That dosha does not apply in our case. Bhashyakara says, Kulalade दृष्टान्त वैलक्षण्यमात्रस्य विवक्षितत्वात् इति. Says no, what we meant by the illustration is kulaladi drishtanta vailakshanya matrasya. That you presented kulala as an example. Even kulala also has a body. So he is also not purely conscious by your definition also. But anyway, so what we meant is the examples are exceptions to kulala or the pot maker and the weaver, etc. Kulaladi drishtanta vailakshanya matrasya. You are right that a kulala or a pot maker is not able to create without the external aid. That is right. Therefore, we presented examples where they are able to create. So, drishtanta vailakshanyam. We are showing a different kind of drishtanta where person is similar to kulala, entity is similar to kulala, pot maker, and still able to create. That's all the intention of our examples was. Yatha he कुलालादीनां देवादीनां च समाने चेतनत्वे कुलालादयः कार्यारम्भे बाह्यं साधनमपेक्षन्ते न देवादयः तथा ब्रह्म चेतनम् अपि न बाह्यं साधनम् अपेक्षिष्यते इति एतावत् वयं देवादि उदाहरणेन विवक्ष्यामः. यथा हि कुलालादीनां Devadinam cha samane chetanatve. What our intention is, what we meant is, which aspect of the illustration is to be taken. Don't stretch the example beyond its limits. Which aspect of illustration is intended? Yathai kulaladinam devadinam cha. Just as there is a pot maker and there is a devata. Samane chetanatve, or there is a Rushi, there is a Pitru, they are Samanepi chetanatve, they are conscious. As far as consciousness and conscious is concerned, they are all conscious entities, similarly conscious. Still, Kulaladeh Karyarambe Bhaikyam Sadhanam Apekshante. So Kulala also is a person, a Devata also is a person, but Kulala or pot maker requires external accessories to create a pot, whereas a Devata does not require So thus exception to Kulala is what we presented. You presented Kulala as an example. So we presented Devata as an example to refute that or to counter that. Because otherwise Kulala and Devata are similar as far as conscious beings are concerned. Both of them have body. But still what Kulala cannot do, the Devata can do because of special powers. So that is possible. न देवादय तथा ब्रह्म चेतनमपि. Similarly, Brahma, even though it is conscious, बाह्यं साधनं न बाह्यं साधनं अपेक्षिष्यते. So Brahman will not require an external aid like Devatas do not require. Iti etadvadvayam devadi udaharana vivakshyamah. It is that aspect of the example or illustration that is to be taken and nothing more than that. Not that they have body and that is not the point. Point is how Kulala cannot do anything without an aid and a Devata etc. can do. That's the example. That's the aspect that is intended by us. Says Ratnaprabha, अत्र हि हेतौ चेतनत्वम अहम दि विषयत्व रूपम. What is chetanatvam? When you say Kulala is chetanaha kulaladaya, when you say that pot makers etc. are conscious entities, what do you mean by conscious beings? अत्र हि हेतौ, in the hetu, chetanatve sati asahayat. What is that chetanatvam? Aham di vishayatva rupam. It is not the consciousness, it is a conscious being. Aham di vishayatva rupam is the ego. So that which is the object of the thought of aham, which is ahankara. So that is ahankara is what is meant by chetana. Even when you give the example of a pot maker, what that chetana means is only an ego, which is a combination of both conscious and unconscious chit jada granthi. Chetanasya swatirikta chetanatvam ahandi vishwayatva chit tadatmyapanna deha sadharanam grahyam. The deha of the body and the mind, they become conscious because of the identification with consciousness. It is that sentient entity, not a, when you say Kulala, it's a sentient being. The sentience is the result of the proximity of consciousness or identification with consciousness. Tada hankaramashritya dehas chetanatamagat. So chaya hankaryoreikyam taptayah pindavanmatam. The chit chaya ahankara, the I thought, and the reflected consciousness, there is a tadatmya, there is an identification like that between the iron ball and the fire. So first ahankara becomes conscious. Tadahankara mashritya. From ahankara the sentience stands from the buddhi, from there to the manaha, from there to the indriyas, and from there to the body. Deha chetanatamagat. That's how the body gained sentiency. So that is what is meant by sentient being, is what is meant, and not natu mukhyam atmatvam. In case of Kulala also, you do not mean consciousness, even a conscious being or a sentient being, where the body has become sentient because of the identification with consciousness. तव कुलाल दुष्टान्ते साधन वैकल्य आपत्ते है. If it is a pure consciousness, then that will not apply to Kulala also. In Kulala Dushtanta, so Chetana hi Kulaladaya. So Kulala or Kotnak is his example. That example will not stand if by Chetana you mean pure consciousness, because a pot maker is not pure consciousness. Pot maker is also a sentient being, which has gained sentiency because of the identification with consciousness. So tava kulala dushtande sadhana vaikalyasya apatte. Your sadhana means the hetu itself will be contradicted if you take kulala as pure consciousness. Ratnava continues, asahayatvam cha chetanasya swatirikta hetu shunyatvam. What is asahayatvam? What is meant by without being helped is chetanasya. So that devatas and others have to create without help. What is meant by that? Swatirikta hetu shunyatvam. The devata as an entity does not require, if it has powers within, that is not meant here. Devata as an entity does not require an aid other than himself to create a house, to create a palace, to create a body, to create a chariot, to create a heaven. Did not require any aid other than themselves. That is what is meant here. Tadubhayam devadeshu asti iti. And that way, in the devatas, both the hetus are there. They are conscious beings as well as asahaya, without the help. Both are there in devatas, pitaraha, rushaya. Iti asti iti vyabhicharaha. So that's an exception. The devata is an exception to your example of kulala or a pot maker. Dehasya swantah patitvena swatiriktatva abhavat. In aham, the deha is included. When the kulala or pot maker says I, that includes the body. Therefore, dehasya swantah patitvena, the body is included within the self. Therefore, the body does not count as separate than the self. Because the body is included in I, when the kulala says I, he means his body also. Therefore, body doesn't stand separate. Similarly, when devata says I, it also includes his body. Therefore, the body is within the self and not counted as separate from the self. Tathacha kulala vailakshanyam devadinam ghatadikarye swatirikta अनपेक्षत्वात् तथा च कुलाल वैलक्षण्यम देवादीनां घटाधिकार्ये. So when devata creates a ghata and a kulala creates a ghata, quite different thing. A devata does not require a wheel and clay etc. Merely by his willpower he creates a pot, whereas kulala or pot maker requires external aid. So, devatas is quite different from a kulala or a pot maker. Deva vailakshanyam brahmana, and Brahman is even different from devata, understand. Deva vailakshanyam brahmana deyasyapi anapekshanat. A devata requires body at least to create. Brahman doesn't even require that. Na tasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. It doesn't have a gross body, it doesn't have a subtle body. Without that it creates. So Brahman is even greater than that. So if devata can serve as an example, what to talk of Brahman? Nar devadinam karyarambe nasti ekarupa samagri. A human being requires a lot of samagri or accessories to create, but devatas don't require. Where did you find? Shruyate hi to Mahabharata. So then, Itihasa is quoted here. Shruyate hi Mahabharate Shri Krishnasya Sankalpa Matrena Draupadyaha Pataparam Parotpattihi. So Draupadi was able to keep on getting more and more garment. So garment kept on being supplied to Draupadi. Merely Sankalpa, the will of Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna was not even present that time. He was present only as a pata, as only garment, and therefore he was in Dwarika. All that was required is his sankalpa. So, Shruti Mahashri Krishnasya sankalpa matrena, merely by the will of Lord Krishna, Draupadyaha Pataparamparodpattihi, Pataparampara. A series of garments were created one after the other merely by the will of Lord Krishna. He did not require anything other than himself to create that. Atah siddham asahayasyapi brahmana karanatvam. Therefore, that Brahman is karanam, cause of the creation, asaha, even though it is without help. It is proven. So that's how this adhikarana is completed here. This whole thing here is a discussion about Brahma as a creation. That goes on. We will next take the sutra number 28. Atmani chaivam vichitrascha, and then take the sutra 30. 28 is a very short sutra, then we go to 30, okay, from tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.